Belgium, but this individual, Abdesalam, he will end up in France, but I doubt very much whether he will be tortured in the way that maybe would get the information they need. I'll leave it at that, but that's going to be an issue. As for the lack of communication, it is dreadful. Been a lot of tension between France and Belgium over, well, not only the fact that why didn't Belgium pick up on any of this prior to the attacks, but then how long it's taken to track down this fugitive who's literally been right under their nose. French, by the way, police working in tandem on these raids in Brussels with the Belgium anti-terrorism unit. But as for the sharing of information, you know, someone put it the other day that these countries are using 21st century communications, but with a 18th or 19th century strategy when it comes to the politics of it all. In other words, we're going to keep everything to ourselves. We're going to go through it all, decide what we think is important before we share it with anyone. The trouble is, information is moved very slowly between the countries and between the agencies, and that has enabled these terrorists often to operate at will.
Ambassador, in this town, there are 22 mosques, but there are numerous what they call clandestine prayer places. And there's been a lot of criticism. Again, you've got more people leaving here to go fight for ISIS and other terror organizations throughout the world, particularly Syria. From a politically correct standpoint, why do you think Belgium is shooting themselves in the foot over and over again? And what lessons should we take from that?
Well, one is to never do anything that's politically that is politically correct. I think political incorrectness is nonsense, and it's especially nonsense when applied to something like this. One is going to have to put under particular surveillance people of particular ethnic and other backgrounds. When the FBI is looking for the mafia, they look for Sicilians in the United States, not Irish. And you need to be candid. They need to be candid about what neighborhoods, what areas, what groups of people they need to look into. And the Belgians were doing this apparently very carefully and very slowly, and they found their way. It took quite a while, but one of the reasons is that it's illegal in Belgium to conduct any raid or anything like that after 9 p.m. They have a sundown clause.
I hear you.
So
I guess that was like the old interstate lines when Bonnie and Clyde, right? If you can we can get into Kansas, we're home free. Golly, it doesn't make sense. I want to go out to the rest of the panel and talk about that, because the Madrid train bombing in 2004. The person came from Mozambique. There have been many high-profile assassinations and actions, terror actions, where it originated from this one town. Guys.
Charles, I'm sorry, Carl. To the point that the ambassador made regarding information sharing, before 9/11, believe it or not, we were just like that. CIA wouldn't share with FBI, wouldn't share with military intelligence.
You think that's gotten better?
Oh, a lot better. Since George Bush put up a fusion center, I was part of that. I was assigned to the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force. CIA, FBI, military, and local police, everyone came together. And I still say to this day that we have not gotten a catastrophic attack because of the fine work our intelligence agencies in the United States are doing.
And I think it was very good that when France experienced this tragedy, America instantly gave them a number of targets, a number of possible intelligence sources that could lead to prosecuting these targets. But right now, what we have to look at forward is, what do we do with the intelligence that this guy will inevitably give us? We cannot flop on this. We have to use it effectively, and that may include going over into some of these states that we don't want to be in right now.
When you mean going over to them, you mean with the overwhelming force that Donald Trump is talking about, or with special forces to take out key targets?
You know, you can
or a combination of both.
The problem is this place is spanning 4 geographical countries. A couple special forces unit is really not going to make that big a difference. You need to go in there full force or not at all. And if not at all, we're going to end up with more stuff like France.
You know, Ebony, a lot of conversation in this country. Should we surveil mosques? Are we being too politically correct? There's no doubt about it. Brussels has paid a heavy price for this, and so has the rest of Europe.
Yeah, so has Paris, and certainly.
And to a degree, so have we.
So have we, I was going to say. So, you know, this is an interesting point. This is one point where President Obama, in some recent kind of almost exit interviews, talked about when he went into the office, he was very kind of anti this kind of surveillance and kind of shutting down some of this information. You know what? He got in the White House and realized we need it.
Reality
Even
check.
he said it. Yeah, and I think this is important. That's an important note, because whether you like the president or you don't, you have to appreciate his candor there in saying that sometimes when you're on the job and you recognize what's greater for the American safety, politics have to go away. And that's the ambassador's point. This is no time for political correctness.
But we're still not getting the information to the local police, the what to look for. I'm talking about the cop on the street. New York City and the big cities, they have it. But going to rural America, going to small towns, we've got to get training into these police departments and teach these cops what to look for.
And it is somewhat ironic, guys, that it still boiled down to see something, say something.
Yep.
Yeah.
And people are afraid to say something because they're afraid to offend
listen,
someone.
I understand that. I understand the fear. New York City, I don't want to digress too much, but I remember they had this thing out if a cop was shot and you said who shot him, gave the police a tip, they would give you 10 grand. Person goes to jail, doesn't get convicted, comes out and kills you and your family.
Yep.
People are afraid.
Right.
You've got to figure out a way to stop that, break that, so that more people could come
Concealed
forward.
permits for everyone.
All right, guys, thanks a lot. Hey, we're going to